Welcome back to Triple Threat Podcast. My name is Williamson, and we have some breaking news today. We had a couple big trades go down. Let's talk with the first one. CJ McCollum sent to the Pelicans, along with Tony Snell and Larry Nance for Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Thomas Satoransky, and a protected first-round pick. Ishan, who's the big winner of this trade?
So I think there are definitely a few. The first guy that comes to mind is Jose Alvarado.
That's our guy.
So definitely, I'm a Georgia Tech fan. You're a Georgia Tech fan and a Pelicans fan. So you've loved seeing Alvarado thrive. And in this trade, you're getting rid of a lot of the backcourt pieces that were fighting for Alvarado's minutes. You're getting rid of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You're getting you're getting rid of Satoransky, Josh Hart, even Lozada as well. So getting rid of all of that opens up a lot of minutes for Alvarado, and hopefully he gets signed onto a full contract now because I think he's on a two-way.
I completely forgot
Also,
about DB Lozada.
yeah, but I don't even know if he's been playing.
Well, he hasn't. He's just a purely theoretical player. I mean, he was learning English like 2 years ago, so
Yeah, he had that like draft and stash thing, but that's a whole nother story. I also do like this trade a lot for New Orleans. Zion Williamson's timetable is very unknown, and CJ McCollum will offer you a lot of scoring. He hasn't averaged less than 20 points per game since 2015, which, if you really think about it, is kind of unheard of. So, definitely one of the more underrated scorers, a guy that can get you above 40% from three. He's at 38 this year, and a guy that can provide really efficient, good shot creating, and another complementary piece to Brandon Ingram.
yeah. Going back to Jose Alvarado, I guess this will be our standard. We're gonna have a whole episode for him. I mean, he's pretty much a positive plus minus in every game he plays, and for a Pelicans team which is about 10 games back from 500, it's incredibly impressive for what he does. He just brings so much spark off the bench, and um,
Definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got more than just a full contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a full extension because he's really taken over the backcourt minutes. And I first started, I went to New Orleans to watch a game, and I was like, oh, Jose Alvarado is playing minutes? He's playing significant minutes? And it was like a crazy thought to me that he was even playing. And now that he's just balling out a couple double-digit games, including today, 5 of 6 shooting, just efficient and just a pest on defense. But going back to the trade, McCollum is a great player, and he's going to be able to be leading a backcourt for the first time in a long time. And I think this is going to be really good for the Pelicans to win now. But my problem with this trade is how it lines up with the time frame of the Pelicans, because you look at their core: Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Herb Jones. Even, I mean, this team is a younger team, and bringing in somebody who's already 30 is not really going to match with that timetable. But at the end of the day, you got to think if Zion's going to leave or want out, you're going to want to make him happy, and this McCollum trade is certainly going to do that. But I think he's going to be a great fit in New Orleans. I think, ignoring Zion for now, I haven't even thought of him being a Pelican for about 8 months. I mean, he hasn't touched the court, so I think about him. So I think it makes a really good sense with Brandon Ingram. I think they're going to be a really good tandem, both great scorers. But what Brandon does well is he's such a great mid-range scorer is that it's going to open up a lot of space in the three-point area for someone like CJ McCollum to take advantage of. And we really haven't seen anybody on the Pelicans take advantage of it because we don't have any good volume shooters. I mean, Herb Jones is about 38%, and Valanciunas is about 40%, but those guys are on very limited volume. We don't have a volume three-point shooter, and McCollum's going to offer that now. But I will be extremely sad to see my boys Nickeil and Josh Hart go. Josh Hart is A1 guy, and if you don't know how good Josh Hart is as a person, then um, I'm sorry. This guy paid Alvarado's tickets when he was in New York, seeing his family. Um, he went to the Pelicans game today after being traded, rocking a Brandon Ingram jersey, sitting courtside. I mean, the guy
Damn.
came to New Orleans from L.A., went straight to the GM's office and said, "Please don't trade me. I want to be here. I want to be part of the rebuild." And not a lot of players do that. And then he hit free agency and he re-signed for like a pretty team-friendly contract. This guy is an A1 dude on and off the court, and I'm just gonna miss him. Impactful player, not a great shooter, but A1 dude.
Yeah, definitely somebody that New Orleans and New Orleans fans will miss. and even Nikhil Alexander-Walker as well. Hopefully, he gets more opportunities, and that's what I want to talk about here with Portland. The backcourt is looking really, really crowded now. You got Anthony Simons, Eric Bledsoe, who was recently acquired in the Norman Powell deal, Dennis Smith Jr., Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Satoransky, Ben McLemore, CJ Ellaby, and Keon Johnson. That's 8 guys that I named for this crowded backcourt. And I didn't even mention guys like Justice Winslow, who can sometimes shift over to the backcourt like we've seen before in Memphis, or Josh Hart, who is a shooting guard, but ESPN somehow puts him in as the starting power forward in their depth chart. But going back to the backcourt, this looks really, really crowded. And I haven't even mentioned Damian Lillard. So I think right now Portland is trying to retool. They're trying to liquidate, build a new team around Damian Lillard to keep him happy.
It's not working.
I think realistically, I get it. You're going to kind of sell the season, get a good pick, and then retool this offseason. But you really think that's enough to compete against a team like Golden State or Phoenix, who not only have a great roster, but they have depth, they have coaching, they have a great chemistry, and kind of rushing a team like this is not something that is sustainable or really successful. So, if anything, I really wish that they use this as an opportunity to start a rebuild.
Yeah, I really think so too. But I mean, you look at Nikhil's development. I mean, the reason why he's been so stagnant is he hasn't really been given the opportunity to take significant minutes or have the opportunity to have risk-free minutes where he's not playing just to keep being on the court, but he's playing to be the best player he can. And that's a big difference because when players are playing safe, trying just to conserve the minutes, trying not to make mistakes, it's different. It's a very different player than when you're playing with guaranteed minutes. I mean, you look at Jackson Hayes recently. He's been given guaranteed minutes, and he's played a lot better because, I mean, you got reports out of training camp that he was unguardable, one of the best players on the court, and it didn't transpire because he was fighting for minutes. But Willie Green guaranteed him minutes, and he was 20 of 22 shooting and only missed 2 threes. So he was 100% from the two, messed it up tonight. But I'm surprised that the Trailblazers didn't try and go after someone like him because Jackson Hayes makes a lot more sense in this offense. You look for somebody who can pair with a great playmaker with Damian Lillard, someone who can play the four, who's his new position. You got Nurkic at the five, play Jackson Hayes at the four, and you now have Damian to free up in the backcourt. And now you bring in so many more guys. Nikhil needs minutes to grow as a player because, I mean, he has the potential, but he's not given the opportunity. And he's certainly not going to get that behind Anthony, behind Josh Hart. And you also have other developmental guys like Keon Johnson. So the role for Nikhil in this trade makes no sense. He's a big loser. New Orleans had a pretty thin backcourt, and he couldn't even. He was still getting solid minutes.
I think Anthony too. This is such a talented player, and if Portland does eventually move on from Damian Lillard, I think Anthony's the next guy up. But it's really sad that now he's kind of back to that fighting for minutes phase where, okay, he plays poorly. You can throw in Bledsoe. You can throw in Alexander Walker, Satoransky, even Dennis Smith Jr. if you want like 3 for 16 shooting from the field. But I just don't get how this benefits their young players like Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and I don't understand how this will benefit Damian Lillard because when he comes back, your bench is going to be mainly guards, and these are not guys that will play well with Damian Lillard. You have a lot of similar player types, or you have someone like Eric Bledsoe, who is a defensive playmaker guy when you really need a floor spacer alongside Damian Lillard, like what CJ McCollum did. So I'm not too enthusiastic about this for the Blazers.
Yeah, we're trying to appease a star player, bringing in the 2021 Pelicans backcourt was not the greatest idea. Eric Bledsoe, Josh Hart, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I mean, you can't even make an injured Zion Williamson happy. I mean, you give him a burger, he's happy. Like he's got pretty low standards. So, I think it's a big W for Zion, but I don't know about the trade. I think it's just too many question marks.
Yeah, and these are guys that will not be touching the court for at least for at least a few days. So I think hopefully these get answered pretty soon. But we might have answers to these question marks a few months down the line. So definitely something to look out for.